like gauze in my cheeks, and I was like drooling everywhere. That's all I remember.
The worst thing is when you go to open your mouth. It's like, oh,
yeah. Yeah, in my teeth, I didn't get in there.
yeah.
What is that thing you get to clean with?
Oh, that's
Is it salt? Is it salt?
No, you like spray water.
Yeah, it feels weird. I don't like that.
All this food just comes
Yeah,
out.
yes. I don't like that.
Alright.
Some good stuff, right?
The tweaky?
What?
Come on.
You remember getting your wisdom teeth out?
I never had wisdom teeth.
Oh.
Just
Well,
wasn't. I
you
just.
do, you get this like water pick thing where you spray the water in your gaps.
Yeah.
All the food comes out.
Sweet.
It's disgusting.
Sweet. All right. 12. Pretty simple chapter, actually. A little bit of taxes. And taxes really, they're not personal taxes. They are, sorry about that. They're not personal taxes, they're payroll taxes. And payroll taxes are much, much simpler than personal taxes.
My mom does that too.
What's that?
Personal and payroll.
Well, payroll's easier.
She doesn't like either one.
He asked you to go to East Marshall with him.
I wouldn't have went to East Marshall with him. He knew that. All right. So basically, these are very, very, very easy elementary stuff. So you've got regular hours, overtime hours, regular rate. What is standard procedure for figuring overtime rate?
Time and a half.
Time and a half. So if it's $9, you're working overtime, it's $13.50, right?
How do you figure?
Because you take 9 times 1.5, and that gives you $13.50. All right, so our regular hours, 9 times 40 is 360, right? And then you've got your overtime rate of $13.50 times 5, $67.50. This is what Draker probably makes at Hy-Vee. So it's $427.50. $12.50 times 440 is what? Well, it's got to be 500 even. $12.50 times 1.5 is $18.75, right? So $18.75 times 3 is $56.25. You add those up, $556.25. $975 times 30. That one I'm going to struggle with. $292.50. No overtime. You've got 11 times 40 is 440. 11 time and a half is 550, so that puts you at 1650 times 2 is 33. Gives you 473.
Alright, we're done for the day.
There's nothing easier than that, right?
That is easy.
That is easy. Merchant, you got this down. Cole, you could probably...
These things right here.
All right. So your taxes are based off of your total earnings, and that's why we're figuring these first. So I'm going to flip the script. And 12.2. There are 3 federal taxes that are taken out of everybody's paycheck, including your own. They are these. You have federal income tax, you have Social Security tax, and you have Medicare. Obamacare. Medicare's been around for quite a while. Medicare's different than Obamacare. Do you guys know what Medicare is?
Yeah.
What is it?
For the poor. Or for the, like, the low income, isn't it? Or is it for the elderly?
Elderly.
I knew it was one of them.
Long story short is the older you get, the crazy expensive you are to insure, because you have health issues and you go to the doctor all the time and you have prescriptions and you're taking a mouthful of pills every day, and most of the time insurance companies won't insure you. So the United States government adopted a policy that said, okay, we're going to try and keep the general public in the best condition possible, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to take a little bit of money out of every single check you make your entire life. And then when you reach the age of 65, you are eligible to be on this insurance plan that all of this money is paying for. So that way, when you go, you know, get your Percocet and everything else that you need, it's all covered by Medicaid or Medicare. And there's different levels of Medicare, and it all depends on, you know, what your health conditions are. And there's still a premium that you have to pay every month, but it's much, 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 much less than what you would have to pay. You guys know Mr. Harkin, right?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Harkin is a prime example. He is a guy that is old enough to retire. The school has offered him early retirement for years, but you have 2 options basically. If you're an employee of a company, most companies are required to give you insurance. So Mr. Harkin doesn't have to pay for his insurance because he's a school employee. If he were to retire, he's not 65 yet, so he would not be eligible to get Medicare, so he would have to buy his own health insurance. His health insurance would cost him about $3,000 a month. So most people can't afford that. Yeah. That's
But
most
isn't
certainly
he
why he's still
retiring
here.
after this year?
I don't think so. I think he's got one more after this one.
He's 63.
I think so. So that's why a lot of people will work.
What's the train on?
About the same. About the same. Most people will work until they're 65 just to get insurance benefits. Because, like, for instance, me, I will be eligible to retire from the school if I'm still here at 55. And the school will pay me a salary until forever, or for IPERS, your retirement fund, you'll make a salary, but they won't pay your insurance. So if I retire at 55, I'd have to pay for my own insurance for 10 years. So, granted, Mr. Harkin has some other health concerns, but a normal guy, I mean, you're looking at $2,000 a month, so you're looking at $24,000 a year just to have health insurance. Pretty ridiculous, huh? So that's why Medicare, you guys are putting money into it now, so when you're old and decrepit,
Get all back.
you'll get some of it back.
So is Medicaid...
The longer you live, the more you get out of it. It's just like Social Security. You're putting Social Security into it. You can start drawing Social Security at 62. Well, at 62, you know, you make X number of dollars every month, depending on what you put into it. Well, if you only live to be 63, you contributed 40 years of your work life for 1 year of retirement, and that money's gone. So, if you live to be 90, you know, you're making some money off of the guy who only lived to be 63 and then died because he put a lot more in than he took out. So it's all kind of a game of chance. Rule of thumb is don't die early if you want to collect your Medicare and Social Security benefits. And then you've got federal income tax, and your federal income tax rate is based on whether A, you're married, and B, whether you have dependents. And dependents are considered those people who rely on your income for their daily lives. So first thing you do is there's charts. There's all sorts of charts, and the charts that we're dealing with are on page 347 and 348. So turn to 347 and 348 in your book. And there's charts, there's tax charts for semi-monthly, for bi-weekly, for weekly, for monthly income, whatever it might be. So you just need to make sure that you're on the right chart given what your payroll is. So this payroll means we're getting paid semi-monthly, means twice a month. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my total earnings, 1,090. Well, first of all, he's married. So there's a married side and there's a single side. So it's like couples retreat, you know, there's a married side of the island and there's a single side. You guys seen Couples Retreat? You guys haven't seen Couples Retreat?
I have.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's an awesome movie. No? Not a
like
fan?
it. I like it.
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn's tough to beat.
He's fine.
Alright, so married. I'm going to find 1,090 and where that would fall in. 1,090, okay? And then I'm going to go over to the right according to how many dependents they have.
99. What are you looking at this?
I'm on page 348.
No, it would be 50, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I have 50.
I have 50.
$50. Is that what you guys see?
Yep.
I see 60.
60.
Say 2?
Married. 1,090 for an income.
Alright.
2 dependents.
It's 50.
1,090 is that number right here.
I was looking at the 180 to 1,200.
I see
Oh,
it's
180
between
to 1,100.
1,080 and 1,100.
Oh, I was looking at the 1, not the 1, 0. My bad.
That would be your problem.
50. So I'm going to go $50. Now, you can see on this, the more kids you have, the more tax break they give you. Because look at that 50. As you move to the right, all right, if you've got 3 kids, it's 37. 4 kids, 24. 5 kids is 11. If you have 6 kids and that's your salary, they don't tax you. You don't pay tax.
You just have 6
Oh, but I have 6.
All right, so look at,
Look at
okay,
grandkids.
look at all right, Coach Johnson. All right, Coach Johnson has 4 kids. So look at the big, let's say that was his. He's going to go, if he had 0 kids, it'd be 84. He's got 4, so it's 24. So you do that twice a month, they're saving you $120 a month. So it's $1,200 a year less that he would pay, which
Not that much.
it's not that much, but you know,
It'll help.
every little bit helps, right? So you got $50 on that. Your Social Security tax rate. Your Social Social Security tax rate is 6.2% when this book came out. It is up slightly from that, but we're going to say
6.3.
it's like 6.8.
I'm gonna say it's 6.2.
We're going to say it's 6.2. Your Medicare rate is 1.45%. All right, so now, obviously, you use the butt method, right? When it's percent, and you have to put it in, you know what I'm talking about? No? You guys don't know what the butt method is?
No.
Okay. So, the butt method is this. So, you have 6.2%, and here's the decimal, and you draw a butt.
Well, I know this method.
All right? You know what I'm talking about then, don't you, merchant? So then you got .0145. Badonkadonk definitely knows the butt method. There ain't no doubt about that. Why would you do that? That's how I learned it when I was like 3rd grade. You guys didn't learn the butt method?
Yeah. No.
That's not what we call
You didn't call it that?
it.
No.
Move your decimal place.
You move your decimal place. So I'm going to take 1,090 times .062. And that's going to be my Social Security tax. And you guys are going to make me do this, aren't you?
67.58.
67.58. And then my other one is .0145 times 1,090. 1581. All right, next one. I got Josh Kane. He's single, 1 withholding, $840. Now, if they're on a line, so for instance, 840 could go with the 820 to 840, or it could go 840 to 860. Which one do you suppose you do?
Top.
What do you think? 840 to 860. Yep, you always go up because you can get that back at the end of the year. You don't ever want to have to pay taxes at the end of the year. All right, so 840, $77. You're on the wrong page. You got to flip back because it's single. So then you take 840 times .062, gives me 5208. Medicare is .0145 times 840, $12.18. Christy Grimes, married with 3, 1020. 1020. 31. And then, what is it, 1020? $63.24. $14.79. In my humble opinion, Social Security and Medicare are the only fair taxes there are. Everybody's taxed at the same rate. Doesn't matter how much money you make, how many kids you got. Everybody pays the same. I like it.
How can they do kids with that one?
How come they don't?
How can they do?
They don't with Social Security and Medicare. With the other one, that's where Republicans and Democrats have disagreement. Republicans would argue that, everybody should pay an equal tax, that the more money you make, doesn't mean that you should pay more in taxes. And the Republicans, or the Democrats would say, the people that make a lot of money have a lot of money, so they should be able to fund the people that don't. The people that don't have as much money shouldn't pay as much tax rate as those people who do have money, so that the middle class can survive. Well, that's, I don't agree with it either, but it is what it is. 980, merchant, what do you got?
27.
$27? I'm not even going to check it, I'm just assuming he's got it right. $980 times .062, $60.76. Is 27 wrong?
Yeah, it's 79.
Jesus Christ, Chris.
Oh, I was looking at that.
You're looking at the mirror.
I try to give you credit one time. 980. With 279. Alright, 980 times .0145. 1421.
So is all these taxes taken out when you buy a pound of hamburger?
No, just sales tax. Just sales tax. Your income is the only amount of money that is the only thing that the federal government taxes. Your sales tax is state revenue, local revenue. That's why.
Which goes to schools and jails?
Yeah, how every state does it differently. Iowa has a sales tax and a property tax. If you live in Florida, you don't pay. Or you go to Minnesota shopping, right? You don't pay sales tax. There's no sales tax on anything you buy. So if it says $14.99, you go up to the counter, it's actually $14.99.
How do they survive?
Because your property taxes are much higher than they are in Iowa. And that's what they use your property tax money to fund everything. Well, some states use high sales tax to fund everything. For instance, Florida. Florida doesn't have income tax. They don't charge state income tax. Iowa does. They don't charge a state income tax, but when you go to the store to buy something, it's 11% sales tax.
Instead of 7%?
Instead of 7, 6, whatever it might be, yeah. So they make their money up that way. But out of your paycheck, my paycheck, everybody else's paycheck in the state of Iowa, there's a federal income tax, there's also a state income tax. And that's why a lot of professional athletes love living in Florida, because they don't have to pay a state tax. And then they'll just rent a place there, have their permanent residence somewhere else, so they don't have to pay property tax either.
What about California?
California is taxed like crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy
Isn't
taxes.
like a house value twice as much there as it is here?
Depending on where you're at, yeah. But yeah, their annual income's pretty high too compared to Iowa's, but all right.
Florida's like that too?
Should we do 12.3?
Might as well.
No. Because that means the test will be closer.
3.
I tell you what, you do. Let's do. Take a look at the application. 12.1. The on your own's easy. We're gonna take a look at the application. Anybody have time cards where they work? You do? All right, so a lot of places, what they do for time cards. Now, if you have depending on the system, it might break it down and pay it to you by the minute. So, let's say if you make $60 an hour, and you work, 1 minute over, they're going to pay you that extra $1. Most companies have a rule of thumb, and they cut it up into 15-minute chunks. So if you show up at 7:58, they round it to 8. If you show up at 8:02, they round it to 8. If you work till 3:04, they round it to 3. They'll take the time. So in this one, what you're doing is you're taking their time card and you're figuring their hours. So essentially here, 7:59 to 12:01, that's 8 to noon. This one, 12:56 to 5:01, that's 1 to 5. So if I go 8 to noon and 1 to 5, how many regular hours is that? 8. No overtime. And a lot of these are the same. All right, so you go 8 to noon, 1 to 5, 8. 8 to noon, 1 to 5, 8. Then I've got an overtime hour, 7 to 8, 1. And then I can see that's 8, and that's 8. Let's come down here, 8 to noon, 1 to 5, 8. So now I've got 6 to 7:30, so that's going to be 1.5. And then I've got another 8, 8, 8, and now I've got another 6 to 7:30 is 1.5, and there's another 8. Okay, so now my regular hours, 40, 40, gives me 80. My overtime hours, I have 1 and 3, so I have 4.
84 hours.
My total hours is 84. What's my overtime rate? Well, what is it? 17 something? 17, 20, 40, 60? 17 what?
7.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
What's that?
1770. So I go, so now I take 80 times 1180 is 944. And then I take 1770 times 4, 7080, and then I add those two together, 1014.80. Chump change. Alright, and then we'll move on to this one. So that looks like 8, 8, 8. This one looks like that's 6 to 7. So that's 1, 8, 8. This one looks like 8, 8, 1.5, 8. Ooh. Burning the midnight oil on this one, huh? 8. So regular hours, I've got 80. Overtime, I've got 1.5,
Like,
total of 85, 980 times 1.5. 1470. Sorry. So I've got 1470. Well, I take 80 times 980, 784. And then I take 14.7 times 5, 7350. Plus 784, 857.50. And one thing I can tell you that I remember for sure is there is a time card on the test. So that's why I'm should be easy points. I would think so. If you pay attention to what you're doing in payroll taxes, there's nothing to it. There's really not. All right, this one I go, looks like 8, 1.5, 8, 8, 8. There's not a 9 in there, is there? Okay, so it gives me 80. Overtime hours of 1.5, so that's 81.5, 920 times 1.5. Oops. $13.80 is my overtime rate. $20.70 is my overtime pay. $80 times 9.2, 736. 736 plus 20.7, 756.70. Nothing to it, huh? Okay. So, should we just do 12.3? Should we start
No.
12.3?
No.
Last Wednesday.
Merchant, you're speaking my language now.
once. 12 for easy.
All right, I'll give you time. You've got 12.1 on your own, 12.2 on your own. We did 12.1 application, 12.2 application you can do. And we'll do 12.3, 12.4 tomorrow with Melanie. I think she's supposed to be back tomorrow, so we can try and do it that way.
I got you on Boxer now.